SolidWorks User Groups got their start in 1997, created by users to learn from each other, provide networking opportunities, share their tips and tricks, and more.
The first time I attended a SolidWorks User Group meeting was in about 2005. But what makes me keep coming back to these is that you're trying to learn new techniques, and there's a lot of minutia and detail that you're not going to learn on your own. So if you can talk to other users, it's very helpful.
The one thing that stands the user group apart, I think, above anything, is the community and the camaraderie and the people involved, and how being involved can get you further professionally and personally.
Being a SolidWorks Users Group member has benefited me professionally. I always enjoy tips and tricks. I've been going to SolidWorks Users Group since '06. I will see one or two every time I go to a presentation that I didn't know existed, or that it's a better way to do something that I've been doing for years. I have met colleagues, which is very important. I've met suppliers, and finally, I've met potential customers for over 10 years at Users Group meetings.
I am honored to be part of this community. I have for years, and if you aren't, you should be part of the SolidWorks User Group Network.
It gives you tips, tricks, and shortcuts you will not find in formal training. It's awesome, and it's free.
It's a fun environment. Everybody gets to know everybody. You get to learn. It's kind of free learning. It's great networking. It allows you to learn from the experts around. I do a lot of presenting as well, so it forces me to learn, so I'm an expert on the topic before I get up there. So all the way around, it lets me be a better SolidWorks user.
To learn more and join the best user community around, visit SWUGN.org and join a SolidWorks user group today. SolidWorks User Groups got their start in 1997, created by users to learn from each other, provide networking opportunities, share their tips and tricks, and more.
The first time I attended a SolidWorks User Group meeting was in about 2005. But what makes me keep coming back to these is that you're trying to learn new techniques, and there's a lot of minutia and detail that you're not going to learn on your own. So if you can talk to other users, it's very helpful.
The one thing that stands the user group apart, I think, above anything, is the community and the camaraderie and the people involved, and how being involved can get you further professionally and personally.
Being a SolidWorks Users Group member has benefited me professionally. I always enjoy tips and tricks. I've been going to SolidWorks Users Group since '06. I will see one or two every time I go to a presentation that I didn't know existed, or that it's a better way to do something that I've been doing for years. I have met colleagues, which is very important. I've met suppliers, and finally, I've met potential customers for over 10 years at Users Group meetings.
I am honored to be part of this community. I have for years, and if you aren't, you should be part of the SolidWorks User Group Network.
It gives you tips, tricks, and shortcuts you will not find in formal training. It's awesome, and it's free.
It's a fun environment. Everybody gets to know everybody. You get to learn. It's kind of free learning. It's great networking. It allows you to learn from the experts around. I do a lot of presenting as well, so it forces me to learn, so I'm an expert on the topic before I get up there. So all the way around, it lets me be a better SolidWorks user.
To learn more and join the best user community around, visit SWUGN.org and join a SolidWorks user group today.
We're glad to have you all here today. I'm your host, Jeremy Regneris, and today we have a very special episode where we're going to be sitting down and talking with several SolidWorks User Group Network leaders. So without further ado, I think we dive right in on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, live.solidworks.com, and we're having a bit of a hiccup here on Facebook. So, but if you have any questions, make sure you post them in the comments down below. I want to jump right in and I want to welcome our many guests that we're going to have on with us today. We have 5 special guests joining us. Eric Beatty from the Seattle area, Joe Lance from the Houston area, Cam Smith from the Aberdeen Proving Grounds, Todd Blacksher. We're going to be talking about the SolidWorks largest user group meeting ever today, and David Antanavige from the New York, Pennsylvania area. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, Jeremy, it's great to be here.
Going?
Thanks for having us.
It's awesome to have you all here today. So I think before we dive in, so some people tuning in for the first time, they may have never attended a SolidWorks user group meeting. I think one of the things I want to do before I really dive in and introduce each one of you is, can somebody give me a quick description of what a SolidWorks user group meeting is?
You know what? I'll take that. I'll kick it off. If you're at your office and you have a few peers working with you, you run into a problem or you go to chat with them and you see them do something really quick and like, hey, what did you just do? Imagine that tenfold, just over and over. Those are the things that you will require and you get from a user group. You just learn tips and tricks consistently. And even more, people are doing things with the software that you never dreamt that could be done.
How's that sound, everyone?
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Well, Joe did leave out that there's also food involved and a lot of friendship and networking, especially pizza when it comes to food.
Absolutely.
But beyond that, he nailed it. It's just friends helping friends.
So SolidWorks user group meeting is a great place where if you want to go learn how to use your design tools to the best of your ability, you're going to find great tips and tricks. People are going to share amazing ideas, and they're going to go beyond just how to use a specific feature in SolidWorks. A lot of times they like to talk about specific workflows in their design environment and how they've helped improve things. So today I have these 5 guests on here. We're going to be talking about we're just going to be kind of talking about the user group network, how they're involved as user group leaders. We have a good variety of different user group leaders. So I want to dive in and I want to introduce each one of you formally. And Eric, always joining us on our live streams every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eric, you're a user group leader out in the Seattle area. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Seattle Area Power User Group and what makes it special?
Well, I'd say what makes it special is the fact that we were the very first SolidWorks user group, starting way back in April of '96. I was a community college teacher and I got a bunch of SolidWorks customers together with my students, and we kicked off that very first meeting, and we've been going strong ever since. We just had our 25th anniversary a couple months back, and folks showed up from all over the world virtually. We had Gianpaolo Bassi, the CEO, attend, and it was quite the virtual shindig.
All right. Awesome. So Eric, I got to ask, 25 years ago, that's a long time ago. What made you decide to get involved and start a user group?
Well, like I said, I was a community college instructor, and I was looking for ways to, put together, my students with potential job opportunities, and also it was some professional development for me as well. I had been to other user groups for like some of the 2D CAD programs that were prevalent back then, and I thought, well, this was a heck of a way to help build a community for SolidWorks, since again this was right at the very beginning.
Yeah, it was. Hey, I just want to say we have some user group leaders in the chat here on YouTube. I've seen the chat's kind of blowing up here. We have a SolidWorks user group leader from India, Nikhil Nakade. I want to give a big shout out to Nikhil joining us from India. Looks like ACOB TV. It looks like a user group from Indonesia as well, potentially here. So we have some people from kind of all around the world joining us this morning. I want to give a big shout out to these user group leaders as well. We're going to get into why so many people you see are user group leaders a little bit. Eric, really quick before we move on, if people want to learn more about your user group, where can they go?
Well, if they want to learn about mine and just about any other SolidWorks user group, just head on over to meetup.com. You'll find most of us have our groups on there since we're meeting virtually these days. But specifically, if you want to find out about me, just in my group, meetup.com/SASPUG, SASPUG.
All right. Well, Eric, we're going to come back to you in a little bit when we go roundtable. Next, I want to bring on, if you've ever been to 3D Experience World, getting ready for general session, you've seen Joe Lance in the front, getting the audience pumped up, getting them to do the wave. Joe, welcome to SolidWorks Live this morning.
All right, let's do that wave real quick.
Yeah, we'll get the wave going out here. Yeah, for sure.
All right, thank you.
So, Joe, you're in the Houston area, and your user group, well, first of all, why don't I go ahead and just do this? Tell us what your user group's very unique because of its regional size. Give us a little bit of a description of the Houston SolidWorks user group and what makes it so special.
Absolutely, happy to. So if you ever been to the Houston area, you know it's a nightmare to get around. But to give you an example of how bad it is, how good it is, there's an outer loop that goes around Houston that's 200 miles. So when I host my user group meeting, I normally move that around from 5 locations, north, west, south, and east, and a central. And pretty much each one attracts a different crowd. So that's what makes the Houston so unique, that we can actually carry about 5 user group and be successful with packing the house on that. That's unique.
So you're technically classified as 1 user group, but you kind of run 5, and that's changed a little bit. We'll get into that, but I think it's important to note you were up a little late last night. You were celebrating something. What happened last night, Joe?
Yeah, so you put my business in the script, but we had a celebration last night. It was 20 years for USUG. The Houston SolidWorks User Group just celebrated 20 years, and I wasn't the originator, but we kind of sat into that group a few years after the fact. But it's been a blast. We had a good turnout yesterday after the event. Guys hanging around. That's what you're talking about. Pretty late, but it was a celebration. We were able to bring in a few key speakers to come in. We had GP, had Jeff Ray came back to speak with us. Just had a huge crowd. It was an awesome event.
All right. I want to jump to chat right here. We got John Matrician's there. He's been 12 years in Western Massachusetts as a user group leader. I've been to his user group meeting when I was when I lived out in the Massachusetts area. Very cool facility where they host that. And I want to comment. I don't know if we have Dan Wagner, who manages our SolidWorks user group, on YouTube right now, but Jay Samoya, this is an excellent idea. A SolidWorks user group Discord channel. I feel like this is needed. I'm going to reach out to Dan Wagner right after this. I think this is a great idea if we get a Discord going. What do you guys think?
Oh, that's fantastic. In fact, actually, Dan Wagner's on a jet ski vacation right now, and right after this call, I'll be hosting our weekly SolidWorks user group meeting. So I'll make sure and float that out to the leader community.
I think I think that's a great suggestion, and I think we do take you seriously, Jay. I think that's a phenomenal idea. So. All right, Joe, we're going to come back to you in a little bit. Now I want to talk to a kind of I don't want to say new, been around for 5 years user group, a very unique location. I want to welcome Cam Smith to talk about Joe, really quick before you go, don't jump screens. Joe, if people want to learn about your user group, where can they go find out more information?
So if you see in the screen, you can always find us at the meetup.com, Houston SolidWorks User Group Meeting, or short USUG. And not just us there, you can find user group all over the world there. And I think it's a good place to go to start your search, and you'll be amazed of how many special events that's happening consistently.
All right. So Cam, sorry, I stopped you there. I want to welcome Cam to SolidWorks Live. who runs the Aberdeen Proving Ground SolidWorks User Group. Cam, welcome to SolidWorks Live this morning.
Thank you.
So Cam, your user group, tell us a little bit about what makes your user group special. I mean, is it a demographic? Is it a location? What's unique about the Aberdeen Proving Ground SolidWorks User Group?
Yeah, so I named the group after the location, the biggest location in the area. Most people might be familiar with the Aberdeen Proving Ground if they watch the Discovery Channel or something like that, where they get to see where the Army tests, tanks and vehicles, and they jump tanks through the air and just put them through their paces. And that happens here. There's actually a majority of the Army's R&D and testing and science is all done here. And they've moved a lot of those positions here. So there's a huge amount of design done, and it includes a lot of licenses of SolidWorks in this area. And that's how I ended up here. I work in a kind of a small prototyping shop where everybody from, welders, technicians, machinists, everybody's got some SolidWorks background and some certifications, and every day at lunch, you never know, it could have turned into an impromptu SolidWorks user group meeting. And one day we actually were talking about where the nearest user group was, and they were either an hour drive north or south, and the discussion just kind of turned to, well, we should have our own group, and everybody's nodding, and as I turned around and looked, and everybody was looking at me, and I was like, oh, I'm starting a user group. Okay. So that was 5 years ago, and it's great. We've got users from all over the base and all the different organizations, but also off base. There's a lot of other commercial organizations off base, and that's where we hold most of our meetings as well. It's not always easy for people to get a user or a guest pass and get on base, we found. So we hold our meetings off base, but the base is kind of the origin of and why we're named after it.
Gotcha. And so I have to imagine the majority of your users come with some very unique design challenges, I'm guessing.
Yeah, we don't get to share too many of our work, too many of our data sets with each other,
Right. Very cool. Hey, if people want to learn more about your user group, where can they go to find the Aberdeen Proving Ground user group?
Yep. Just like most of the other groups, we're on meetup.com, the Aberdeen Proving Ground SolidWorks User Group, or APG SWUG. We're on there too.
All right. I am moving a couple screens around here so I can watch chat a little bit better. Quickly in chat here, I think it's important. We have a special guest joining us in chat. Kirby Downey is in the chat. And it goes without saying, we're going to be talking to David in a few minutes, but Kirby kind of runs a really unique thing here. He's hosting it on YouTube. He's going to be involved during SLUGME, which we're going to talk about in just a little bit. So I want to give a big shout out to Kirby. Glad to have you. I did also notice that Dan Wagner is in chat there as well, listening in. So
dedicated.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, there you go.
Josh Mays, also unofficially representing MV SWUG as well over there. So you're in good company here, everyone. All right, Cam, we're going to come back to you in a little bit. Next, I want to welcome Todd Blacksher, who was the user group leader for SWUG1, but more importantly is the brainchild of SLUGME, the SolidWorks largest user group meeting ever. Todd, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Why don't you tell us a little bit about SWUG1, what that is, but more importantly, give us a kind of a little bit of a taste of what SLUGME is.
Alrighty. SWUG1 was the group that I started when our company first bought SolidWorks. I went out looking for ways to learn more, and I found a local SolidWorks user group, joined, started participating, became an officer. And then the group just kind of disbanded, and SolidWorks hit me up and said, hey, do you want to revive it? I said, absolutely. So I gave it a new name, SWUG1, and ran it for several years, took a break to work for a VAR, and came back and ran it for several more. And I just passed it off to my VP recently. SLUGME. So my special boy. Basically what that was, I got back from SolidWorks World in 2016 and was already missing all these people that are on the call. And I tuned into a webinar that was a presentation that I missed, and something cool came up, and I leaned over to say that was really cool, and there was nobody next to me. And that's just something that I do at the conference. You know, it's when you see something cool, you have to talk about it, or you have to say, that's not how I would do that, or I didn't know about that. And so I missed that personal connection. And I'm looking through the people that are logged into the meeting, and there's a number of people in there. And I thought, if each one of those logins was a user group, and each user group had 20 people, we'd have a huge meeting and it would be awesome. So I kind of floated the idea, and fought, got permission, and I just got all the user group leaders excited about it and said, hey, let's do this. And it's crazy enough to work. So I mean, I just think it's awesome because it gave me a chance to share what I see at World with my group and several other groups, and we're all came together at the same time to watch the same presentation.
Very cool. We're going to go into detail talking about SLUGME later, and I want to give a shout out to everybody tuning in on LinkedIn, because we have people from all over the world on LinkedIn. I'm seeing from Greece, India, the UK, Ecuador. We have something very special coming up for everybody who's tuned in on LinkedIn coming up in a few months. It's going to be really exciting. So make sure you stay tuned. Todd, we're going to have you back to talk in detail about what you're doing with SLUGME this year that's going to make that really unique. So, and Todd is another person, if you've ever been to a 3D Experience World, he's one of the most welcoming people you'll run into there. I always run into Todd at 3D Experience World. He's given me several sets of very special keys as well, which I still have. I've moved recently. I don't have them on me right now at this moment, but they're in a box somewhere. I'll have to find those. So I want to jump on next. I want to talk to David Antanavige about a very different user group. Well, maybe not different today, but different when it kind of started out. David, welcome to SolidWorks Live.
Thank you. Thanks for having me this morning, and glad to see all my SolidWorks buddies on the call as well.
Yeah, for sure. So David, you're in the New York, Pennsylvania area. You're tasked with some pretty unique challenges. Can you tell me what makes your user group unique from the get-go?
Sure. I mean, so I've been in the user group community for a while and ran traditional user groups like a lot of the other leaders here on the call. And when COVID happened, ironically, the SolidWorks User Group Network was kind of trying out for the first time doing virtual, online, and hybrid meetings. We were a little bit forced due to the COVID restrictions out there to go all virtual on Meetup, which has been wildly successful, I think more so than any of us thought it could be. And because of this, I've decided to move to an all virtual group. I live and work outside of New York City right now, and have been supporting New York, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, where I'm from. And it's really hard for our members to get around. I mean, if anybody's ever had to sit on the Long Island Expressway, you're just not going anywhere. It's more of a parking lot than a highway. So this way, we can give our members their time back and actually get exposure to a lot more resources than we wouldn't have had in the past. I get engagement from user group leaders in Australia, user group leaders and members in South America, Mexico, Canada, the West Coast, East Coast. I think all the guys on this call have actually attended a couple of my meetings, last year, which gives us a chance to connect cross groups, cross members, and with having SolidWorks to support us and help us get GoToMeeting accounts, Zoom accounts, all of our online presence set up a little bit ahead of all of this. I mean, we just hit the ground running. So it's been really successful, and we're just going to keep doing it virtually so we can keep connecting with as many people as possible.
All right. Hey, I want to apologize, everybody, for that little bit of an echo we just had there. We just came on live on Facebook, so welcome everybody who's tuning in on Facebook right now. I was trying to get the comments up, and I didn't have it muted just in time, so I apologize there. Hey, I had a great question just come in, David, while you're here. Ashar bin Khalid on LinkedIn asks, can one be a SolidWorks User Group Network leader and still have a full-time job, or does SWUGN Network demand more time?
So this is a great question. I think we talk about this all the time. There's a little bit of a fear about getting involved because you don't know exactly how many hours a week you're working. I think a lot of us, especially with work from home now, we're probably working more hours than we're used to. But being involved with the SolidWorks User Group Network as a leader specifically is about how much time you want to put into it. So, you know, you could be like me and run virtual meetings, which are very easy. You almost have a template that you can copy and paste, and with the support from SolidWorks, your local resellers, all the other leaders who are always eager to present, I can assure you, it's pretty easy to get a group up and off the ground and maybe only spend a couple hours a month, you know, dedicated to it, or even less, depending on how often you meet. You can also go the extreme opposite end of the spectrum and host meetings all the time. Last year, my group, we did, not my group specifically, but in my region, we had 4 groups host 19 weeks of meetings straight. So that was a lot of work. It took a lot of effort, but we have a lot of support. So it's not like you're going to just jump into this and be doing it all by yourself. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands of people ready to help you and keep your group going and come and present and find you topics and information that'll keep everybody engaged.
That's great. And we're going to go into some detail about how you can get involved with the SolidWorks user group. Before we do that, David, you had mentioned people from all over the world tuning into your virtual user group. Like everyone else, where can they go and where can they go find your user group?
So you know, as we've mentioned, the SolidWorks user groups are alive and well on Meetup. So you can find me there, meetup.com/New York Penn SWUG. I'm also engaged with a couple other user groups around my region, so you might see my name there as well. Please join all of them. We're all doing, you know, great different content.
All right. So we're going to dive into a bit of a roundtable. So I kind of want to bring everybody back. We're going to just kind of go into a casual form Q&A here with everybody. So you've kind of, everybody watching at home has got a chance to meet everybody. I want to bring everybody up on screen. Couple quick shout outs to the chat on YouTube anyway. We have Neo SWUG Leader there. We have Dan Birchie is on. I want to give a shout out to all you user group leaders out there. From Brian Zayas says, thank you to all the user group leaders who are amazing. That would be all of them are amazing in my opinion as well. So big shout out to all of you. So user groups have been around for a long time. As we know with Eric Beatty, 25 years he's been running a SolidWorks user group. This year, the past 14 months, everything has changed, and that has come with a host of challenges and advantages. So I want to just throw the question out there. How has the last 14 months changed the way that you approach running a SolidWorks user group meeting? Anybody, and I'm just going to leave this open, and we're going to do it where you can just kind of dive in and answer questions.
I'll kick it off again.
All right, Joe.
So it was when the pandemic came in right after last World, the first of the year, 19, things got scary because we weren't able to meet in person. But then the guys at SWUGN created the virtual meetings. And when the virtual meeting happened, I was a little concerned for several reasons, because you had to join Meetup in order to participate. And that was a concern. So I was a little slow getting into it, but once I did, when I sent out a blast email saying, hey, we'll no longer be doing this. If you wanted to continue, you have to join Meetup and so forth. And slowly they started trickling in. And over the past year, we're well over 300 groups. But the advantage of that, why it's grown so spectacularly, is that you can join not just the USUG meeting, but you can join meeting all over the world. And occasionally you get someone that had a specific thing they wanted to learn about. So you would pause that and hold it for a while because you didn't have enough interest. Well, now I see something come up on the screen, I tag it, copy it, I support it. And that was awesome. So I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, you mentioned when we introduced your user group, you were met with a very unique challenge in that you had several regions in your area, and it was almost like you had 5 separate user groups.
Right.
With your meeting being virtual, is there a reason you don't have to go to these different locations? Anybody can tune in from anywhere, right?
That's exactly right. But I at this point, I think I'll continue to move it around, but it would probably just be me moving around with the group. The advantage now is that you still have the community that want to come out and mingle, as what Todd said before, or it was Eric, I think. When you look to the right, you want to say something to someone, you can't beat having that because you learn so much more from the conversation happening next to you. So I will probably still move it around, but the guys on the north side, east side can still join in and have just as much fun with us.
All right. What about some of the rest of you? What are some either challenges or advantages or new things that you've learned over the last 14 months?
Well, I'll say that one big advantage is that, having access to literally the entire world community of SolidWorks experts has really raised the caliber of the presentations and the content that we're delivering. I mean, I don't have to rely on, my local area folks to provide presentations, nor do I have to hope that, someone can fly in from Waltham or another location to deliver a presentation. This way, it's just a GoToMeeting link away, and I can get someone like Artem in Sydney, Australia to present on macro and API development. And similarly, just a few months ago, I presented in Sydney, Australia using the X Sheet Metal app on the 3D Experience platform. And I was a little bleary-eyed because it was 1 a.m. for me, but it wasn't a jet lag from a 16-hour plane ride to Sydney.
It's almost like there are no boundaries with who you can reach now, right?
Absolutely.
Not at all. It's literally worldwide. But again, we're going to talk about that aspect a little bit later on, so I won't give any spoilers.
It's wide open.
What are some of the other things that people have run into? I think, Cam, you had something you talked about earlier when we were off camera that you really liked.
You might have to remind me. I had a different one. I was gonna say that one of the things is that when a presenter comes to a live meeting, often they have to bring their entire setup and then create an environment that they can present in. And with everybody working from home, broadcasting from home to present has been kind of an advantage and much easier. Because it's the environment I'm used to being in almost all day, every day now, and being able to present to I've presented to India or to Europe and different places around the world, and to be able to do it from my comfort zone, like Eric said, and not be jet lagged. That's been very helpful to be able to present something full-fledged, full featured. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned your setup. Can I tell you how many times I've been asked to present and I get there and I forgot this? My space pilot, I'm so used to rotating with that, and then you leave it at home. Well, now it's always there at my desk, right? It doesn't leave, so I don't have to forget anything. That's a great point. But Cam, when we were off camera, you were talking about topic-specific presentations have started to become a thing, right?
Yes, that's one of my favorite things. Is so my example was PDM, and with any topic though, you've got users in your group who are always giving you ideas for different presentations that they'd like to see, and you kind of rotate through them throughout the year, or maybe several years, depending on how often you have meetings. And so maybe you have a PDM administrator who comes to all the meetings and sees all the SolidWorks content and anything else, but really what they're there for is that little bit of PDM that you get to throw them once a year or something like that. And I love that now we have, with virtual groups, we have topic-specific groups, specifically the PDM SWUG that I'm talking about. And your PDM admins, who that's their full job. Sometimes they don't get to touch SolidWorks as much as they want, and they want to talk PDM for the entire meeting, every meeting, and they can, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I know a long time ago, Joy Guerin had done some of those even before virtual became a thing. And now it's like, it's a real thing. And it's really cool to tune into. I mean, think about all the different tools. Maybe there'll be a visualized SolidWorks user group, virtual SolidWorks user group, or a simulation SolidWorks user group. This has the potential to be really awesome in these very unique, specific user groups.
Absolutely. It would be amazing.
Yeah, one of the things I always focus on with these, like you mentioned, people like Joy Guerin, is the access that you get. A lot of us are administrators. I've literally blown up meetup groups before, coming in frantically like, I need help. Oh, wait, I've got the 30 top PDM users in the country on a call together right now. I think I know where to go.
Yeah.
So the access that we get inside our network is pretty incredible too.
Yeah, we're going to go into that in a little bit of detail here a bit too, kind of some of the access and the help that you'll receive when you're running a user group. But before we kind of talk about this, nobody has talked about the past 14 months being challenging at all. All I've heard are advantages of kind of moving to this virtual environment. David, you started virtually. Todd, you're the OG of like hybrid meetings, which we're going to talk about, I think, here in a little bit. There's had to have been some disappointments. Were there any disappointments in the last kind of year?
I'll add for me personally, like I'm in the greater New York area. And we have some incredible companies here that were hosting our meetings before we had to go virtual. We would go to Leviton Manufacturing, Peloton Interactive, the School of Visual Arts. Places you just can't get inside of. Composite facilities. Even my former facility at ULC Robotics, we have ABB arms and UAVs and full machine shops. You get to go tool around in everybody's shops and see what they're doing from the inside. And that is the part that I think a lot of us really miss. There was a famous Mastercam meeting that would be hosted at Mastercam's elite facilities every year that has been forced to stop because of COVID. And these are things we're all going to miss a lot. But, on the other side of it, I now have exposure to thousands of people and heads full of SolidWorks knowledge and other engineering knowledge that I didn't have before.
Yeah,
absolutely. Good point.
Facility tours were always like a big highlight. And I'd always try to find different places and, be able to take a tour and anything that we could. I miss that.
And of course, just the general camaraderie of, folks getting together, eating pizza or something. And, when we're on Zoom calls like this, it's one person at a time talking, but we've found a mild workaround to that. And that, like there's the meeting chat where folks kind of will start up a good conversation side to side. But basically, COVID was the ultimate set of bag of lemons for the SWUGN, but I think we've made some really, really awesome lemonade out of it as a result. So
yeah, I agree.
And actually, I'm going to add to that. I'm going to throw it out there. So the thing that was very attractive is obviously you got the pizza, or sometimes
that's been called out in chat was the pizza.
And occasionally, depends on where I'm having the meetings. The guys, they'll take care of food for me, so we'll upgrade to give guys a good meal before they go home. But more importantly, it's the giveaways and the stuff that the free. Who can ever forget the free stuff, right? And we will the VARs and the sponsors and the SolidWorks. When I hosted the meetings in person, sometimes these things came automatically. And like a couple of weeks before, I'm like, holy crap, I got a meeting in 2 weeks. They would remind me of my meetings I got to get prepared for. But those were some of the highlights as well. Always some good stuff to give away.
Yeah, that's true. The lack of giveaways has been a bit. Yeah, the lack of giveaways has been, a downside. But also we had a bit of a curve, when we started switching to full online. some users felt like they might have been a little bit flooded with all these different meetings popping up, and there's, you know, you could have had a meeting every night of the week, and it kind of felt like, oh, it's just a bit much, you know. We've kind of hit our stride now, though, and people have also realized that they got to figure out how to manage their own meeting schedule. You don't have to hit everyone. A lot of them are recorded. You can come back into them later. But yeah, I don't think there's as much online fatigue anymore as there was after the first 6 months of the pandemic. So we've kind of figured out how to even
Cam kind of glossed over something there where he said that meetings are recorded, and that's phenomenal in itself, in that, you know, a lot of times you leave a meeting and you've picked up a whole bunch of awesome tips and you're buzzing about it in the car on the drive home. And then you get into the office the next morning and it's like, what the heck was that? And, you know, why didn't I write it down or something? Now it's just a matter of you contact the leader and say, you know, hey, can you send the link to the recording? And boom, you've got it captured. So,
yeah, well, one, I want to give a couple of shout outs to chats. I didn't want to interrupt anybody. David Lucas is looking forward to a flow simulation user group. That would be great on LinkedIn. He thinks that's a great idea. But I also saw on YouTube, I missed who said it. Right here, Theodore C says a sim user group is already on the air. So that's great news. So you can go out there and search for that if you want to learn about SolidWorks simulation. So the floodgates are open. And, you know, we talked a little bit about so much going virtual. It's kind of like why we've really ramped up SolidWorks Live. We've put a schedule on. It's every week, 11 a.m. There's something to tune into. They're recorded. You can always tune in and see them. Live design, where you can learn tips and tricks. But you guys have shared offline with me some of your favorites. They're not really user groups, but they're very community oriented. You almost treat them as a user group. You mentioned Kirby. Tell me about, what are some of your favorite places that you like to go that are maybe a little bit off the beaten path there?
I'll jump in. Too Tall Toby. Toby Schnars has created a YouTube channel. He has just organically and naturally created a following there that he totally earns. And all the people who follow him and who are joining him every week for all of his content, we think of ourselves as the Too Tall Toby user group, essentially.
I love it.
It's amazing. It's one of the best worldwide groups you could possibly have.
So, if I can add to that, I had Toby presented yesterday at my 20th anniversary. The guy is so diverse and so versatile. We went a little over talking about how the user group went and so forth, developed, and he adjusted his time, but you never missed anything. He was able to conduct and include and throw in the comments, throw in the chat, talk to the guy. You won't break his stride. Amazing. If you haven't seen him, you're missing a lot there.
Yeah. You can find him on YouTube. I don't know if we can get our producer maybe to throw up a link to Too Tall Toby's YouTube channel. Really encourage everybody, go there, subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, become a part of, I like what you guys said, the Too Tall Toby user group, the online user group. Make a community out of that. I'm sure he'll love that. He's normally in chat, but he may have been up late last night too. I haven't actually seen him pop in here yet. So,
and if I can, I would add, so there's a little clip on one of his YouTube channel where he gets up with a stick figure. He hits his head and said, ow. So I normally introduced him as, ow, Too Tall Toby. He's always hitting.
And he's got a heck of a song about making sure you fully define your sketches.
Yeah. He did the very first episode of the 2021 live design series. We talked about patterns, and that's a joke. There's no N in the way we did it. And I had a blast. I hosted that first episode with him, and he is so fun to watch. So go to his YouTube channel, watch what he's doing there. So we've been talking about like what's happened over the last 14 months. We all know that the world is kind of starting to come around this curve right now. And what is this going to kind of mean moving forward for everybody? You've kind of fallen into this cadence of virtual meetings. You set a timeline. What's this going to look like as the world starts opening up? I know that might not be tomorrow. It might not be even be next month, but let's say, what does 2022 look like for everybody here at this point? And again, I'll leave this open-ended. Anybody can jump in here. Dave, I actually want to start with David. I want to go to David first, because David, you started as an all virtual meeting. What are your plans, say 2022?
So I've actually done them all. This is I think my 4th user group now, if I'm counting correctly. And I used to be the person who thrived on the in-person meeting. I loved it. The intensity of it, it's exciting. Everybody coming together, especially when you've got new user group members coming in for the first time. We've had, I think earlier when we were talking, Eric was sharing how, you'll have meetings with parents who bring in their kids. Maybe they're interested in engineering, maybe they're not, but it's still great to have them there. But like we were talking about before, just anecdotally, I used to have my Rubbermaid bin of meeting. And when new user group leaders came on in my region, the first thing we do is get them a Rubbermaid tote and be like, you'll be pulling this with you from every meeting from now on. And I don't have that anymore. So, I can, instead of spending maybe 5, 6, 7 hours on like a meeting and out on Long Island or in New York City, where it's really complicated to get things going, logistics are a lot more difficult. I can spend a half an hour setting up a meetup template, send it out to everybody, get all the content going, get people from all over the world to come present, have a good meeting that's really efficient, fits into people's schedules really well, and then focus on some future special meetings, like maybe meeting up at a brewery in person once we can get back together, or some of the other special meetings that happen annually around the community.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for us, 2022, I'm looking forward to getting folks back together in person. But kind of like Joe was saying, the Houston area is big around and covers a lot of space. Seattle is long and narrow, and we've got some of the most constricted traffic that there can be. So hey, when we're meeting in the north end, folks from the south end find a hard time getting there, and vice versa. So going forward, hybrid meetings is the future of SASBUG. I mean, we'll get folks back together because again, we got to eat pizza in a community fashion, but I'm gonna set it up so that whatever's being presented is also going out on a Zoom or a GoToMeeting webcast as well, so that folks sitting at home or even stuck in their car in traffic trying to make it to the meeting can pull up that feed, and it'll be just like they're sitting in front of the projector screen.
I'll add to the hybrid meeting because I see that happening a lot more. We've done it here quite a bit, just out of necessity. Chris Castle was supposed to fly in and present at a meeting, and there were tornadoes. So he's like, we're going to do it on Ring Central. And so we held our meeting that way. I was supposed to present in Kansas City, and there was an ice storm. So I presented virtual. And NeoSWUG, big shout out to them. When they have some of their meetings, they've done hybrid, and it's been really cool because one of the guys would pull it up on his phone, and he took me for a tour of the facility. So I'm sitting here in my basement going for a tour of their place, hanging out at their meeting, and it was awesome. I see that happening a lot more.
So maybe these facility tours they're able to be a thing even in this virtual world. I mean, you guys mentioned it earlier. That's some of my favorite user groups I've ever been to. John Matrician, I'll give a big shout out to the company he works for, hosted a meeting. Very interesting company to go see how they manufacture their products there. Eric, I look back to, it wasn't you, it was probably a competitor to your company. I went to Waja, I think it was called, out in Ohio, did water jet machines. Their claim, they did a really cool thing where they sold a build it yourself kit. Like you can make your own water, like really cool stuff that I've seen that, I look back over all the years. Yeah. So that's a great idea, Todd. Like these virtual facility walkthroughs. I love that.
Yeah.
Those NeoSWUG guys, they're awesome.
Yeah. They're commenting here in chat. They're saying Same here, Eric. Hybrid is the future of Neo SWUG 2. And he said that was fun, Todd, when he went in there. We got CT SWUG user group in the chat as well. I see here. What are some of the other things that might change moving forward, do you think?
Well, one of the things we've seen pop up in the last 14 months is combination meetings that are more than one user group together to have a joint meeting, which has happened in the past when you have geographically close groups. Sometimes they would find an area in between and do what we were calling a meetup. Nowadays, we can have in all the groups in a region, do a regional group, or we've had what we created a group of SolidWorks experts and champions that we called the Chumps, and we kind of host a panel. We're all user group leaders in this SWUGN community, and we have all of our user groups come together on one big meeting and just host a joint meeting. I think those joint meetings are going to be happening a lot more often as well.
Yep. Yeah, Eric said he participated kind of in one. He presented in Australia, and he had somebody from Australia present to him. Todd's kind of doing that. We're kind of getting close on time. I want to get into SLUGME. I want to kind of move the conversation forward, because I'm hoping there are people who are watching right now. We've already seen the one question: how can I get involved? And I want to demystify some of the concerns. You've all had to make this step forward at one point, going from attending. Well, and the first thing I want to do is, if you've never attended a SolidWorks user group, it's never been easier. So we're going to throw some URLs. They're in the description. You can learn more about SWUGN, the SolidWorks User Group Network, by going to swugn.org. And there you can find links to join a group. You can attend a meeting. And then there's like these two next big steps. There's presenting at a meeting, sharing your knowledge with the community. And the best way to do that, what would be the best way if you feel like you have great knowledge to share with the community? Let's ask that question. Well, really quick, what's the best way to become a presenter?
Wow.
You could join any of our meetup groups, really, and then you'll instantly see all the other meetup groups. And you can just throw a message up there. Hey, I'd like to present at one of your groups. You can also reach out to the leader of our SolidWorks User Group Network, Dan Wagner, who's at SolidWorks. He's a great person to contact. But if you go to swugn.org, you'll find a little bit more information on how to reach out to us. But any of the SolidWorks channels, if you start using SWUGN or SolidWorks User Group, one of us is going to get our ears are going to pop up really quick.
Always looking for presenters.
Absolutely. I mean, if you join any of the groups, or just shoot them an email and we will get the messages out. That's not a problem. If you're interested in presenting, we will take care of it from there.
Exactly. Step one, go to Meetup, join a group, join many groups, as many as you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's talk about that next big step. What if somebody's in an area where they don't have a user group and they want to take that step and they want to do it? This could feel like a really big step. You've all been in these shoes. You've all had to take that step forward. Is this scary? Is this hard? Are you all alone as you go through this process, or are there tools there to help you? Kind of explain like what this will look like.
Oh man, we only have a few minutes left, so I'm gonna give you the scale.
Well, we might go over a little bit. Because we got to talk about SLUGME yet. That's fine if we go over a little bit today.
It's okay. Joe's here.
Thanks. So let me say this. If you're thinking about it, you're already ahead of the game, because you already have a passion for it. You already know something that you're interested in doing, and you want to help bridge that gap and get more people involved. So that's the first step. But that fear, you may have that fear, you know what, I'm not smart enough. I'm not the smartest one in the room. But I can tell you, the smart thing is knowing you're not the smartest in the room. There's always someone that's going to be out there a little bit smarter, do things a little bit different, and that's the benefit of this. Furthermore, you're not alone, because if you hesitate about how can I do this, reach out to any one of us or any one of the other user group around the world. More importantly, locally, you have the VARs that's there to help you. And I promise you, those guys, they jump through hoops to take care of me. Whatever I need, whether I'm early or late, they got my back. And if they can't solve it, they go straight to the source. They find the developers to solve the problem. So that's the bird's eye view. But trust me, if you have that passion, move on it. We'll support you. Contact any one of us. I'll be there to support you. Speaking for myself. Move on it.
Contact Dan Wagner and Anna Manfredoni at SolidWorks at SWUGN.org. They've assembled a powerful team with all the tools, and it has never been more easier to become a user group leader now. And we've got them popping up all over the world.
Yeah, we actually have a really nice short URL we can share up on the screen. It should be in the description as well. You can also go to solidworks.com/apply now if you're interested in getting involved. One of the first things that's going to come up, a couple of you have briefly mentioned it. What is there like a financial commitment, a time commitment that I should be worried about? Like how do you get all the how do you get a meetup account? How do you get a GoToMeeting account?
That's one of the amazing things about SolidWorks and the SolidWorks User Group Network is that they provide for us. They'll cover a lot of the financial or all of the financial burden as far as the meetup account price is covered. Your GoToMeeting account for hosting these meetings virtually covered. If you have an in-person meeting, whether you need to pay for the venue or, presentation supplies, that's covered. They'll send you swag. You'll also get the resellers or vendors often will also send you swag. You sometimes get more stuff than you could possibly give away in one meeting.
Well, I need the Rubbermaid bin.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I wanted to also point out that occasionally, sometimes, depending on where you are, reaching out directly to the VAR or the reseller as a company, that can sometimes be difficult to get the right person on the phone or to respond. If you ever talk to any of the application engineers, whether you're calling customer support, the helpline, whatever, any one of those people that you talk to at your reseller, they will be more than happy to either help you or to hook you up with the person in their company who they know does the thing that you're interested in learning about. You don't have to go just straight to the website or to the contact email. You can talk to anybody in the company and they can help you out, and they're eager.
Want to give a quick shout out. David Costello on LinkedIn says, greetings from Monterey, fellow leaders. And then we had another one over here. I thought I saw, there's a lot of comments coming in here. I like this, NeoSwug. That's the great thing about this community. Everyone is always willing to jump in when needed. Great comment there. So I'm going to quick throw this out before we talk about SLUGME. The number one question we get every time we broadcast a video stream is, how do I get free software? Anybody want to answer that?
Become a user group leader.
There you go. If you want free software, you can become a SolidWorks user group leader. And what they provide you, education versions of all the software, is that correct?
Educational version, yep.
All right, very cool. So we've talked a lot about SolidWorks user groups regularly happening. I want to talk about the biggest SolidWorks SolidWorks' largest user group meeting ever, Todd. So we briefly touched on this. Let's quick recap on what this is and when SLUGME 6 is happening, because there's a lot to talk about here. So really quick, what is SLUGME?
Okay, so SLUGME is the SolidWorks largest user group meeting ever. And it was kind of born out of an idea of having normal in-person user group meetings all dial in to one GoToMeeting and have one presenter presenting to all these user groups all around the world at the same time. So we're kind of all attending the same meeting at the same time, seeing the same presenter, but we're with our own user groups. And so, from the first year to the second year, we doubled in size. We've been growing, and The funny part about the beginning was I really wanted it to be in person. So the only way that you could attend would be to attend your local user group meeting, because I was really trying to push people to get into their user groups. Last year, we kind of had to let everyone in because we couldn't have in person. So it was no problem. It was like, okay, well, we just change gears and everybody can dial in from anywhere, which blew up and went huge, and we ended up having a really long meeting to which Joe commented and said, doesn't it mean the SolidWorks longest user group meeting ever? To which the three of us, me, Cam, and Eric, said, challenge accepted. So this year we're like, okay, Joe, you think that 4 hours or whatever it was long? We're going 24, 25, maybe 26 hours. So early on, the biggest confusion was time zones, because we were trying to accommodate people in different areas. And so it's like, okay, the meeting's kicking off at this time. Well, what time is it in my time zone? Well, to make it easy, this year it's 6 p.m. I don't care where you are. It's 6 p.m. Are you in Bombay? It's 6 p.m. Are you in Argentina? It's 6 p.m. So what we're going to do is the same day of the 24 hours of Le Mans, about 3 hours after they start, just northeast of Paris, we're going to kick off SLUGME in Paris at 6 p.m. And then we're going to work our way around the globe, hopping time zones, so we catch 6 p.m. in every time zone before working our way back to Paris. And we are going to have a different presentation in each time zone in the local language. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to let the other guys talk about it as well, because we're all sharing a brain on this. It's the three amigos, and we're just, every time one of us says something, the other two are like, that's exactly what I was thinking. So, I'm going to let them chime in too, but I mean, it's just going to be amazing. And we're so psyched. It's going to be awesome.
A 24-hour long user group meeting. That's intense.
Yep. Yeah. And we've got some powerhouse stuff lined up. Like Todd was saying, we're going to have 24 individual presentations, and we've arranged for 6 very keystone presentations every 4 hours, where since we're doing this in conjunction with the 24 hours of Le Mans, we knew right away within the SolidWorks user and the 3D Experience user community that we have got the very best engineers, designers, and simulation folks the world around available to us. So we said, why don't we try designing a race car? So we brought together, weldment and structure experts like Jordan Todish and,
I think you're
industrial designers like Jason Poole, simulation experts like Omar Zani, and topology experts. We've got a fabulous integrator with Toby Schnars and everything. So yeah, every 4 hours you're going to see the SLUGME Speedster evolving from some concept hand sketches to a tube frame chassis, to an aerodynamic body that'll be vetted by simulation experts, suspension components optimized through all manner of topology technologies and integrated together with, some VR walkthroughs and renderings and stuff. And, in between that, there's just going to be so much incredible SolidWorks knowledge dropping on an hour-by-hour basis that I'll let Cam tell you all about. It's going to be freaking huge. It's going to be
Yes.
That wraps it up.
Everything that Eric just said, that's only 6 hours of the 24 hours that we're going to be presenting.
Wow.
So yeah, for the remainder of the 18, as we mentioned before, 6 p.m. local time, everybody is going to have somebody from their region who is a very good presenter in whatever topic We've got crew chiefs and drivers. That's what we're calling the coordinators and the presenters of each time zone. They're working on coordinating and figuring out what presentation and what language, what topic they're going to present. And then they're going to have 1 hour and they're going to shift off to the next person. We're going to go, in 3-hour blocks of presentations and then have a keystone of the overarching car theme. And then we'll go 3 more hours of presentations from your local area, no matter what area you are. We got Australia, Japan, China, India, Brazil, Russia. It doesn't matter where you are. You're going to have a presentation for your region.
At 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
It sounds like you guys were going to make a play on a song, and instead of 5, you turned it into 6 o'clock somewhere.
6 o'clock somewhere.
That's impressive. So all I can say is bring your food, bring your hydration. You don't want to miss a beat of this, man. Be prepared.
So where will people be able to tune in and watch this live? Let's ask that question first.
So the SolidWorks live YouTube channel.
So right here where you're watching today,
right here.
If you don't want to miss this, go hit that subscribe button right now while you're watching. Hit the bell notification icon so you get notified when it goes live, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we're going to do the full 25, 26-hour live presentation right here. You can pop in, pop out whenever you want. You don't have to be at your user group meeting. There will be a lot of user groups hopefully holding in-person meetings if they're able to in their area. If not, it's fine. You can, pop in from wherever you are, whether you're stuck in Seattle traffic or in Houston, doesn't matter. Grab your phone, pop in. The live chat, which is always awesome, is going to be going the whole time. And I said 25, 26 hours because Eric, Todd, and I will be doing a pre-race show for an hour before and then a wrap-up checkered flag after. So there's going to be lots and lots of content. And after that entire live stream has completed here, we're going to break it up into the individual 1 hour videos for each presentation, each topic. And those individual videos will be posted to our SLUGME YouTube channel, SW_SLUGME on YouTube. So
if you don't want to miss any of that content, either open it in a new tab right now. If you're watching it in your browser, go to YouTube, search for SW_SLUGME, subscribe to their channel, hit the notification on their channel. So when all that content goes live, you can learn. You'll have 26 hours of content to digest. Or right after this show, if you don't want to do it right now, make sure you go there and subscribe to their YouTube channel. Are the previous SLUGMEs there to watch, Todd?
I was just going to say that. We've got a few of them on the channel, so you can watch what we've done before in the past.
Very cool. So this is going to be really exciting to tune into. I encourage everybody. I'm going to be watching what I can while I'm there. This is going to be really exciting to see.
We're really jazzed about it ourselves. It's a heck of an undertaking, but...
Yeah.
Understatement of the year.
Yeah.
All right. We've gone over a little on time. I want to take a moment and I want to thank all of you for joining us on SolidWorks Live today. But more importantly, I want to thank all of you for stepping up and being the SolidWorks user group leaders you are. I know some of you have gotten awards for it, but I want to give my sincere, heartfelt thanks for all the work you do in the SolidWorks community. It means a lot to all the users who attend your meetings out there. I'm sure you get it all the time, but thanks again, everybody, for coming to SolidWorks Live today.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks for having us, Jeremy. This is
awesome.
Enjoyed it, truly.
All right, so a couple of housekeeping items. Next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. on YouTube. Remember, every Thursday, 11 a.m., we're going to be broadcasting something. We're going to have John Materano III on live design. This is where he's going to be going through the designs that fly. He's going to be building a plane, and he's going to actually ensure that it will actually fly. John is a phenomenal presenter. You can see him every month on Exploring 3D Experience Works. This time he's going to be diving, I believe, into SolidWorks to do all this design work here. So I'm really excited to see John do some design work there. And then live, our SolidWorks Live, a month from now on July 8th, we're going to have, I believe it's 3 teams from BattleBots to talk about the next generation of robots. This is going to be a really, really fun episode of SolidWorks Live. Not that none of them, they're all fun, but this will be a really fun episode as well. So if you don't want to miss any of this great content, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. And I've said it a bunch of times, hit that bell notification icon. This way, every time we go live, you can jump in, get in the live chat, and participate in the conversation. We're also streaming SolidWorks Live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And I want to thank everybody for joining us on all those platforms today. And until next week, we'll see you next time.
See ya. Thank you much.
See y'all.
Later.